Hello NuttX team. Today in this video, I will show you a new way to build and test PRs in our own NuttX repo. Why are we doing this? Two reasons. First reason, before we submit a PR to the Apache NuttX repo, it would be great if we could fix all the build errors, all the compile errors before submitting the PR. By building and testing in our own NuttX repo, which means that when we submit the PR will go successfully through all the CI checks and build successfully. And this will help the reviewers. Our reviewers will be able to review and approve the PR quickly. So that way we quicken the workflow for our approval process. The second reason is that earlier in 2026, this year, we experienced very high usage of GitHub Runners. Over in January and February of 2026, we experienced a very high usage of GitHub Runners here. And this is not good. The ASF Infrastructure Team says that we should keep our GitHub Runners below 25 by average. And as we can see that in January and February, we hit way above 25. This is bad because the ASF Infrastructure Team will remove our access to GitHub CI, which means no more GitHub actions. Our NuttX CI will simply fail to run once the ASF Infrastructure Team removes access to GitHub CI. So therefore, we must prevent this from happening. Now you might ask, why don't we go and beg the ASF Infra team to give us more GitHub runners? Or could we pay for more GitHub runners? Well, we tried and we can't. Let me explain why. This is us, our Apache NuttX project. We are allocated 25 GitHub runners by the ASF Infrastructure Team. Now, the problem is that there are also other Apache projects. Let's say our friends at Apache Minute. They will use the same pool of GitHub runners, and they will also be allocated 25 GitHub runners. And then there will be other Apache projects, let's say Apache XXX or Apache YYY. Each of these projects will also be allocated 25 GitHub runners. As you can see, all the GitHub runners are coming from the same common pool. Now imagine what happens if Apache NuttX, we decide to use beyond 25 runners. Let's say we use 50 GitHub runners. Well, once we use 50 GitHub runners, it means that we are depriving other projects of their 25 GitHub runners. So imagine a poor developer in an Apache Minute project. They will have to wait forever for their CI job to start, simply because there are no more GitHub runners available to them. Therefore, GitHub Runners is a limited resource, it's constrained. We have to make sure that we use them properly. Otherwise, we will affect other Apache projects, and the ASF Infra team will block our access, will revoke our access to GitHub CI. That's why today we are talking about a new way to build PRs in our own NuttX repos. Hopefully, we will conserve our limited GitHub runners, and we will reduce our usage of GitHub runners and keep it below 25. Now, for today's demo, I will make use of this PR. My apologies to Mr. Jason Boo. We'll be using your PR to explain how this local build of NuttX PRs will work. Very sorry about that. Now, this is a PR that was submitted to NuttX. When we check the builds, let's say we click check here, we see that the build failed. Why did the build fail? Well, we see that something went wrong with ARM64. Let's go in. If we scroll back up, we will see what happened to this build, why it failed ARM64. And the problem is this. So for this particular configuration, IMX95 EMMC, the configuration file is incorrect. there seems to be a problem with this particular setting, config base dev config, right? Now, this single bug caused this whole build to fail, right? So ARM64 build failed, and it also triggered the cancellation of all the other jobs. Because that's how it works. We wait for one build to complete, and if that build failed, we will fail all the other jobs. How long did the build take? Well, we took 1 hour and 12 minutes, meaning that our poor Mr. Jason had to wait 1 hour, 12 minutes for the build to fail, to realize that there is a compile error. And so that we wasted 1 hour, 12 minutes of his time. But if we think about system-wise, we are also wasting our usage of GitHub Runners. We have used up 1 hour, 12 minutes of GitHub Runners in our Apache NuttX account. Now, this 1 hour, 12 minutes is the elapsed time. So this is the time it took to fail. But remember that all our jobs are running in parallel, and we are charged based on the parallel jobs that are running. The factor is about 7.4. So if we take 1 hour, 12 minutes multiplied by 7.4, it means that we are charged about 7 hours or 8 hours of GitHub Runner usage to our account, right? So this is quite bad for our GitHub Runner usage. It would be perfect if we could have all our developers, ourselves, please try to build our PRs in our own repos before submitting to the Apache NuttX repo. That way we avoid any compile errors, we save our own time, and we also save our GitHub runners time. So today I'll explain to you how we go about fixing this. Okay, let's head back to the PR. So to recap, we have this PR that, suppose this PR is something that we are going to submit to NuttX, the Apache NuttX repo. Before we do that, let us do a build. Now, we had some feedback from developers. We hear that it's quite difficult to do builds in our own repos. That's why we're introducing a new way today to do builds. This is how we do it. Browse to this repo called NuttX / manual NuttX CI. This is capital NuttX / manual NuttX CI. In this repo here, do a fork and select our own repo. For me, I'll just pick Latvian 13. In case you haven't realized, it's okay. It's perfectly fine to create new organizations for free. You can create as many organizations as you want. I created my own organizations to keep my projects nice and clean and tidy. If you don't wish to use organizations, that's fine also. So in this case, I'll choose my own organization called Latvian 13 and just create fork. Let's wait a while for the repo to be created. Now this repo contains only the workflows, so it will pick up the extra source code from our own repos. To do that, we need to click on Actions up here. We need to enable the workflow, enable GitHub Actions. Now you see this manually built NuttX. Click on that on the left. We see a button here, Run Workflow. Click that. Now this is where we fill in our details. We need to specify our own repo, which repo we're building, what branch, so and also for NuttX apps, and which repo is coming from, and which branch. Now if we look at our PR here, we see that it's coming from this branch, JSON Boo / IMX 95 EMC 8-bit. What I'll do, I'll just copy this here and let's paste it. So the user ID is going to be Mr. Jason Boo. The repo is called NuttX. The NuttX branch is the branch that we are using for the PR. In this case, is this. What is the name of the repo? Let's just use the standard Apache NuttX apps. And the branch we're using for Apache NuttX apps, let's pick master. Of course, you can choose this to your own NuttX apps repo if you are submitting a PR for NuttX apps. Choose a host platform. Let's submit for Linux for now, right? Because Linux has a higher chance of failing. So once again, we fill in our repo name here. This is where it will pick the source code for building the PR. This is the branch that contains our PR code. This is the repo that will contain our NuttX apps. And this is the branch that will contain our NuttX apps. Choose a platform. We can choose Linux. And run workflow. And now the workflow starts running. Now this will run in our own personal GitHub account. That's why we see that it's logged in here. Which means that it will not be charged to the Apache NuttX account. Which means that it will not contribute to our high utilization of GitHub Runner usage. So if everybody were to do this build in our own repo, that'll be fantastic. We can build this as many times as we want, fix any kind of build errors, and when it's fully successful, we submit this PR to the NuttX, to the Apache NuttX repo. Everything is going to be very streamlined. The PR will go through checks 100% successfully, and then it will be quicker for the reviewers to come in to review and approve this particular PR. And it starts running. It will take a while, but let me show the results that I started earlier on. I'm doing this just to show you that, the results will be the same. If you look at this earlier build that I started, it's still running. We see that the result is the same. Let's go up. So we're now at ARM64. We're looking for the reason it failed, and it's here. So this is coming from manual NuttX CI. We can see that it's failing due to the same reason. So which means that, yes, it's actually reproducing the same result as if we were running the PR in the NuttX CI process, right? So that's my demo for today. And that's what I hope we can all achieve, that we will use this way to build our own PRs in our own repos before submitting to the Apache NuttX project, so that we will make it a lot quicker for our NuttX developers. We will make it simpler for the NuttX review because everything is all successful. Everything will pass through CI without any build errors. And we will reduce our utilization of GitHub Runners. And just reminder again, if we exceed 25 GitHub Runners by too much, then ASF Infrastructure Team will revoke our access, will block our access to GitHub CI. Don't blame them. It's because they have to do it because when we exceed 25 GitHub Runners, it means that we are depriving other Apache projects of their GitHub Runners. And we don't want to, cause problems for other Apache projects. So that's our demo for today. So just a quick recap about what we're doing for NuttX CI. 2026, the beginning of 2026 has been quite a tough year for NuttX CI. We don't have sufficient volunteers to help out in the maintenance, in the work for NuttX CI. We received many suggestions for improving, for fixing this peak in the usage of NuttX runners. However, unfortunately, we don't have the people, we don't have the volunteers, and out of the 1 or 2 volunteers in NuttX CI, we don't have enough time to implement all these suggestions. But we are doing better. We are improving. We're hoping to fix that. We have identified and prioritized a list of things to enhance in our NuttX CI. Today, we talked about a new way to build and test PRs in our own repos. And hopefully, we can all do this so that we will simplify our NuttX development workflow. We will reduce our usage of GitHub Actions. And hopefully, very soon, we will also see enhancements to the CI build process. Sooner we will in a while, we will implement the retry of NuttX CI builds. Hopefully this will fix the downloading of dependencies. Remember, we had some issues with downloading of dependencies. Sometimes it would fail to download ESP32 runtime, FDT device tree runtime, or OpenAMP runtime, and the job will fail, and it will kill the whole NuttX CI workflow. And it's not really our own fault, not the fault of developers. It's something beyond our control. And as part of the NuttX CI initiative, we are going to do a retry of the jobs. Hopefully that will solve our problem of downloading dependencies altogether. And there are lots of other things that we can do about it. We'll roll this out slowly over the rest of the year. And just be mindful that we have very few people in our NuttX team. If you could volunteer to help NuttX CI, we will be really, really grateful for that. But in the meantime, please bear with us. And if you could please help us to use this manual NuttX CI way to improve our usage of GitHub Runners, that will be very much appreciated. Right? So that's it for our demo. Thank you so much. If there's anything that you couldn't quite get it to work for building PRs in your own repo, please let us know. We'll definitely look into it. Thank you.